Hello and welcome to the Roundabout Podcast. This is episode 34. My name is Austin Sudduth. With me today, I have Michael Levine, Shane Niaswonger, Tyler McClellan. Boys, I have a question for you.
What you got?
How many senses do you think we have?
Well, science teaches us we have 5.
Before Shane starts Googling it, stop.
Yeah, I mean, 5 would be my answer.
Shane, before you start Googling, what's your answer?
I would be like everybody else and say 5, but I think you're going to make one up, so 6.
So the last time I looked at this, which was about, 8, 9 years ago, I remember it being like 14. Recently, lots of studies are suggesting it could be up to 33 senses.
Well, I guess.
Go ahead, Michael.
Are they teaching this in school, or is this more like conspiracy theory stuff?
Nope, this is scientific stuff. Now, with it,
I think there's a lot of people that would argue like astral projecting is science. That doesn't mean it actually is.
Well, that's not on the list. So there are
astral detection is not a sense.
There's 22 that are accepted, with another 11 that could possibly be along the lines of the senses.
So, before, because I'm sure you have a list here.
Absolutely.
Before we go down that, I mean, my guess, and this is just with zero, knowledge ahead of this, is my guess is that it's all of them could be associated to another one, right? Like it's almost the main 5 categories are the ones we all know as then are taught as children, and then the rest of them are going to branch out, right? Like I'm thinking like sense of direction, sense of I don't know what the technical term of this would be, but up versus down, right? That kind of thing. But I don't know. And am I along the right lines here?
Kind of. So when you get to like the accepted 22 senses, you could have like what you could see as like a category and subcategory form. But even in that manner, 9 of them are the start of their own category.
Well, I say, I figure you're planning on reading some of these off. Like, go like 5 at a time, and we'll see if we have any comments on any of the ones you name.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
So we have 5 that we know: sight, smell, vision, hearing, touch.
Mm-hmm.
Those are there.
Right. Bog standard 5.
The 5 that have been taught forever. One that is kind of common, that is been around for decades now, is the sense of pain. There's one that they call microneuroception or mechaneuroception, which they also it explains itself as balance, but then balance is actually a subcategory of that, because as we have discovered more potential senses, that has branched off. But then the sense of temperature is its own sense, and then the sense of your own blood pressure is its own sense.
What is the sense of your own blood pressure? Is that just when you get a headache when it's too high? Like
you can tell
don't feel like
when your
I've
blood
ever
pressure
been
is going
aware.
up is its own sense.
I don't think I've ever been aware of my own blood pressure.
I was not
other
blessed
than when
with
I get
that
a
sense.
headache from hypertension.
Yeah, well, it's
Also, the rest of those, maybe with the exception of balance and whatever the parent category of balance was, all sound an awful lot like touch.
Touch is kind of was my thinking. And I will say, I mean, balance has a lot to do. I know your ears have a lot to do with balance, which is always odd to me. But people with like ear infections, that's a very common side effect or symptom, is they feel out of balance.
Yeah, that was the first one to me that I went, oh, okay, I can't really pin that to another one. That one kind of made sense.
yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I do like sense of pain to me isn't necessarily the sense of touch. Like pain, I feel like it's its own feeling. Like I can be in pain and I don't necessarily have to touch something to be in pain.
I'm not really
I guess
impressed with
thinking like stomach pain or something like that.
one of the. So I did Google it. One of them is the perception of the passage of time. I'm not buying this for modern science.
I mean, that is a very good sense, though, that I think not everyone has the same level of, but everyone can have a feeling of like, hey, sit down and just think to yourself, like, how long is 15 seconds, you can kind of get a general sense of how long that is.
Everybody has the sense. Everybody has different perception, though.
Correct.
But
Because like not everyone has the same taste. Not everyone has the same vision. Not everyone
Correct.
has the same level of hearing. Not everyone can feel the same that other people feel.
Yeah.
So I mean, a sense on a broad scale isn't how much you individually have. It's what you can absorb.
well, that's why I think like a lot. I feel like I was still on the right track when I said, the different. They kind of fall under other categories. For example, balance, right? Those the ear is a big part of balance, and then I mean, you can't deny that vision is a big part of balance, right? I feel like if you tried to walk across something and then tried to do it with your eyes closed, you're going to have two entirely different things. So I feel like a bunch of these are going to fit. Maybe they don't fit under one directly. For example, in the case of balance, it's not only going to fit under hearing, but vision is a big part of it. Now, with that, the inner ear, I know it's not as much about like actually hearing the audio of something, but it has something to do with the way like air passes in through. I'm not a scientist enough to know, but again, I mean, I know this is a big list of like 22, so if you want to read a few more, we can see where we're at then. I feel like
Yeah,
Michael's not going to be easily bought in here, though.
Well, and this is where like the subcategories really kind of come in to play. So like for vision, a couple of the subcategories is like the sense of light versus the sense of color. So yeah, that is part of your vision, but it is its own separate sense. Like you can, like even people who are considered blind can sense different different light sensitivities. And then people who have clear vision actually scientifically can see colors differently. Colorblind people obviously can't, but they have vision.
Yeah, to me, this all is just a modifier on the basic vision. I feel like we're going too far.
Yeah, like we're trying to dig maybe a bit too deep. I mean,
honestly, the only one that doesn't have a subcategory is hearing. Hearing is it is hearing, and that is it. There's no subcategory under it.
Though I would still argue that balance should fit under that.
But balance goes to the mechoneuroception, which is, I guess, more along the lines of like your nervous system almost.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if I remember AP biology well, if anything, balance should be under touch because it is effectively fluid moving. It is the feeling of the fluid moving within your inner ear.
Okay, so it's a fluid thing, not an air
tiny
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balance is fluid. It's fluid in your inner ear. You're effectively feeling the fluid, and that fluid and everything can get fucked up, and you can get really dizzy. That happens to me about once a year. That like my inner ear gets kind of messed up, and I get some vertigo. But yeah, I would boil that right back down to that's just a function of feel.
Now I'm just picturing like a little microscopic level bubble in my ear.
Well,
Basically.
I mean, you think about it.
Basically.
You think about it, where does all of these senses come from? And it was all what we could observe. And the 5 senses we've all known are kind of like the most apparent. Like to me, I feel like I said, for me, I can see how temperature and pain are a different sense than touch because I don't have to touch something to know if it's hot or cold. Like I can get close to it. I'm not touching it. There is no contact. To me, touch is contact.
Well,
yeah, see, that's where I guess I disagree.
Yeah,
touch
I was going to say I disagree
touch
with
is
that too.
sensation.
And really what it is what's contacting it, maybe not the physical thing that is putting off the heat or the extreme cold. It's the heat itself touching your skin.
Okay, then I got a counterpoint to this. Have you ever looked at asphalt and seen heat waves?
That's vision.
And that's hot?
But that goes back to another sense, which is vision. That's just vision and prior knowledge.
Yes. That's vision and experience. If you took somebody who had no clue about being able to see heat waves off of asphalt and you put them there, they're not going to intuitively go, "Oh, that's hot."
Yeah, they're going to be like, why are my eyes doing this? They're going to think something's wrong with them, not the asphalt.
You take a polar bear and stick them on the asphalt, and they're not in front of the asphalt, not on it, because then they would know it's hot. They wouldn't have a clue.
Then I got another counterpoint here.
Okay.
Keep them coming.
because taste is here, and a lot of science says that what you can taste is linked to your smell.
Yeah.
And it's also touch. If
Are you saying
if we're really
taste
getting
is a
down to it,
category of smell?
No,
I would say
think
it's a
they work.
subcategory of touch.
They work. Yeah. If anything, if you really want to break it down, no, I think what you experience and what actually your brain processes is a combination of the three. Because something will taste, you can still taste it if you close your nose, for example. It may have a different taste, but you can still taste it. Or
Or
your
maybe
perception
muted,
of
or-
it is different.
But then that argument then actually supports the fact that there are more than 5 senses.
I
That
disagree.
You
I
use your
think
sense of touch in
I would actually argue there's
association
4.
with your sense of temperature or your sense of balance.
No, I'm down to saying there's only 4 senses now. I think we were bullshit with taste.
so. Again, though, I think if any, it's not an argument that there are more than the 5. I think all the other ones can be attributed to a combination of one of 2 or more of the 5 or 4.
I'm
in
saying we're
Michael's case.
trying really hard to dive into having more senses when, keep it simple, stupid.
No, and there's a lot of diseases that we could be curing instead.
Right.
Instead of finding these new
Which-
senses.
To be fair, some of this may come out of all that, but
No, completely different types of science, I understand, but
yeah, we're just trying too hard, man. To me,
Oh.
again, I've now talked myself into there are 4 senses.
I feel like we have thoroughly ruined Austin's night. He did not expect this to go
No.
this way.
Y'all can be
Exactly
wrong and
knew
y'all
this
can be
is how it
loud
was gonna
wrong.
go.
We're okay being loud
All right,
wrong around
no.
here. That's fine.
That is true.
All right, this isn't the most scientific search, but on Popular Mechanics, they have an article about this, and apparently one of the 33 senses is body ownership.
Okay, you're going to Popular Mechanics. I don't think that they're a scientific.
I couldn't find
Journal.
anything else I was interested in reading.
They-
it was all
I
like,
think they
So, but
are.
here- well,
I think they
hold on.
actually are, but
I wanna point out I caught a glimpse of it. I know you went off of the
oh,
page.
here, I'll
Shane,
go
but
back
just
to it. Here,
under
I'll go
that,
back.
it was talking about I can't remember what the rubber hand illusion. If you don't know what that is, essentially
Mhm.
they lay a rubber hand on one side of like a barrier or like a little wall to where the person can see it, and then their actual hand is on the other side of that same wall covered by a blanket. Essentially whoever's holding the experiment will either like tickle their hand or do different things to basically simultaneously with the rubber hand. So essentially in their mind's eye they're making the person, the testee, feel like the rubber hand is their real hand, and then they'll pull out like a hammer and just smash it out of nowhere. And like 90% of people, I don't know the actual numbers, but a vast majority of the people say they actually felt the pain, like it hurt when it happened. But again, that just goes back to vision.
well, it's right there in the sentence about body ownership, which is thought to be the result of several other senses merging.
Yeah.
So is that what we're doing? We're just merging other senses and calling it a new sense? I mean, like,
that's my
No.
take.
cool,
on
we
this.
can do that all day. Again, I guess that goes back to taste.
Because I think that is more of a trick of the brain, not are you using your senses appropriately?
God, I wish we had mechanical sensors and stuff.
Because that would be along the lines.
We'd be in the
I
shop
guess,
like 3 times a week.
like that would kind of actually be under this, like the idea of hypnosis, in a way.
Brittle's actually
Like
a doctor.
you're tricking yourself to believe something, which is all what the I don't know how science, I guess, of magical illusionists and hypnosis is to get your brain in a certain way. There is hypnosis that psychologists use, which is different. You're not tricking yourself, you're trying to uncover something subconscious. So I mean there's different versions of it.
Is being a hypnotist just professional gaslighting?
You know?
I guess it depends on your take on hypnosis.
I have to take the stance. Because my wife is a therapist. No, it is not.
Tyler, I think if you ever get out of your current line of work,
I'd be a good hypnotist.
yeah.
I feel like I could get into that. It could be pretty fun.
But yeah, some of the others I'll just get through these.
Me and your wife would
Um,
have quite the arguments.
Oh, don't I know it? Some of these, like you have like the subcategories of taste are like salty, sweet, sour, bitter. You have under what they had is the mechoneuroception, which is balance. what they call proprioception, which is your joint position, kinesthesis, which I don't know what that is, the feeling or like sensing heat versus cold, and then you have like blood pressure, your blood oxygen count, people can sense that, your pH balance. They actually have under there like the sense of thirst versus the sense of hunger, and then also you can sense your lung inflation.
So, again, the last few that you said, we could have a whole conversation about those, but I'm going to go back to the subcategories of taste. When you said like salty, sweet, all those, that's literally just to me describing what the taste sense is. It's the ability to differentiate those things.
But
Yeah.
remember, on a scientific level here, those are the ones that have been accepted. There are some what they call radical, which are not accepted senses. So some of them are like umami as a taste is not an accepted taste. Like some people will radically say that you can sense red, green, and blue separately. Some people will say that you can like the difference between light touch versus pressure. So these are the more radical. They're not accepted senses. So you do have like what they consider the conservative senses, the accepted senses, and then when you get down to the 33, you get more radical ideas of senses that are like, okay, yeah, we're not convinced that those are actual senses.
What all sounds bullshit to me is that there's only one thing of hearing. When I think we all know there's just as much depth to hearing as there is taste.
Yeah, like if they're going to go
Different
this far
tones
on
and
some of these different ones, why not hearing too?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about what about the like tone deafness, right? People who don't hear music correctly or understand music correctly. Literal pitch differences, and there's tons around hearing, and they're going, yeah, it's just hearing. But they're gonna break down taste to a freaking micromanagement level.
With the same logic of going salty, sweet,
Sounds
you could
like
go pitch, tone, rhythm. I mean, you could break it down like that if you wanted to.
Yeah, it sounds like we're heading towards about 100 senses, is what it sounds like.
Well, I
all in the name of saying humans are super advanced.
Playing the opposite side of you guys. The reason
Devil's
why
advocate, if you
I
will.
personally don't see hearing being broken down into those categories is because most of what hearing is, and I know this is going to sound like you could apply to everything, but is the process of what you are hearing. So not many, like, yes, you can have someone who's quote unquote tone deaf, but it's not necessarily that they're not hearing the sound. They're not processing it. They're not processing.
I would
the
argue
tone.
the same. I would argue the same goes for taste.
Yeah, correct.
But no,
right.
can you sense salty versus processing pitch?
But just flip that. Can you sense pitch versus processing salty? Does it
But
really
you
make a
have to-
big difference?
yes.
Right?
The what sense is, what sense's definition is versus process.
Okay, so can they add a sense to the list of the sense of sense?
No, because that's
Yeah,
not
that's a good one.
sense.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, Tyler.
See, Michael's back up to 5, everybody.
34th sense, right there.
No, but I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I don't know. This is a weird one. And again, with the hearing, Michael's got a point there, which is a conversation I would be happy to have. It's amazing, like some of the like Pitch Perfect and all that stuff. But that's a different episode.
You just want to get back to TV shows and movies.
Yeah, right. I don't really think you can make a solid argument for exactly what we're talking about. Of if you're gonna go that far into to taste, that you wouldn't go that far into hearing, because any argument you can make for one, you could flip the argument and it would still apply, I think.
Which I disagree, but I mean, then again, as we can
How?
tell, none of us agree on this.
Yeah, and that's
Three
fair.
of us agree.
Yeah, I think 3 of us are pretty solid.
Screw
So
you all.
Y'all all agree there's only 4 senses?
I'm still sticking with 5. I think taste is its own
Okay,
sense.
there we go.
I'm a lot closer to Michael than I am.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think 5 is a lot closer to 4 than 33.
I didn't say I believe in 33. I believe in
the 22 accepted.
I believe in the 22 accepted because to me, it does make sense to why these are,
Pun intended.
the information. Yeah. Well, there's really no other word for it. because in doing the reason why I brought this up is me and Heather were having dinner and this came up. I forgot how, but I was like, last I heard there was like 14, and it was like, yeah, passage of time is a sense, and that's actually not on here, unless it's one of these big words that I don't know. But then, like, I knew temperature is its own sense, which actually, you think of the animal kingdom, there are animals that can sense heat from a longer distance away than we can. So they're not even feeling the heat. Like, there are animals that literally have thermal vision. So they can see heat.
But that just falls under the sense of sight.
For them, yes.
Yeah, but you see, I will say
whenever
this.
I said my asphalt thing, y'all said no.
But
So
What?
So which is it?
Okay, so here, let me.
We said it's vision.
Yeah, but let me backtrack
Yes,
for a
they
second.
have
though.
thermal vision. Yes, but that is their way of another way of obtaining the information of temperature.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you keep saying
I'm
obtain
so-
the
I'm
information.
so lost.
Yes.
And I get your point and I get your argument there. And by the way, I welcome everybody to the most argumentative episode of this podcast we've had to date. But I like
I'm
this.
glad
This
I
is
could
fun.
bring us here.
Stupid.
This is fun. So to your point, I think you mentioned something about hunger and thirst, and I don't know if those are part of the accepted or not list.
Yes.
What is that other than just the nervous system, right? You could just attribute all that to the nervous system itself, right?
Well,
It
if
is
you want
your
to know what that is, other than the nervous system, that's plasma osmotic pressure and then arterial vein blood glucose difference.
I'll
That's
forget
what
that
is.
in about 20 minutes.
Uh-huh. I've already forgotten it, and I've read it 20 times.
All right, hell, let me be honest. I can't even repeat it back to you now. But I guess like it is, you can attribute most of that just back to the nervous system, which is a part of the body sending a signal to the brain to tell you, right? I don't think that in itself is a sense. The stomach in this case, I assume the stomach's what tells you you're hungry, or if that's just what we say as people who aren't scientists, I don't know. But it's the stomach telling the brain, "Hey, I'm hungry."
We've made
Like,
it
we
very
don't have
clear
enough
none
here.
of us are scientists. This
Yeah,
podcast.
right. So,
Ain't that the truth?
but versus, which I guess I'm about to counterprove myself here, because I'm thinking, okay, the sense of smell is the receptors in your nose telling the brain what it smells. I don't necessarily, but I guess the stomach is just telling it what it feels. I don't know. I'm now more lost than I was. I still don't think there's this many senses.
I have a question.
Please.
You
Please,
keep saying
please.
that there are these accepted senses. Is this like
Yes.
the toothpaste commercials where like 9 out of 10 scientists agree? Because I need them. There have to be like sense deniers out there, and I need to meet them.
Well, you've met two of your other sense deniers right here on this podcast.
I think he's saying from the actual scientific.
But let's talk more about like people that actually have a basis.
How many more do you need? How many number wise do you need?
Somebody that can put doctor in front of their name.
Well, that certainly ain't any of us.
Like, where are these people being? Where is the pushback? Because I think there's a lot of pushback that can be made, and I think modern science, frankly, needs to ask better questions.
Well, okay. So, full disclosure, the list that I got is from one specific science journal. There are some that I read about 5 of them, and a lot of them gave 22 as like the number. This was just the most clear cut one that I got that wasn't like they had a chart, they had it visually able to look at easily, but there are some that like will differ on the 22. Like they may say like 1 or 2 is different. Like some people said the under touch like pressure is more accepted than something else, but it's all researched along those lines that they all know about it. But yeah. Realistically 22 is the number that gets floated around the science community as this is how many senses we have. A quick thing is just like a lot of people said like the detection of electric fields versus magnetic fields. I mean, the light comes up a lot, and I think the reason why vision was so in depth is just because it's what we look at. How do you perceive what you're seeing? Like, can you act like? I'm pretty sure studying a lot of animals, this comes up a lot. Like the freaking mantis crab can see in like 18 dimensions we can't, kind of shit.
You know what?
So
If we're
me
making up
ask
new
you-
senses, hang on, Tyler. If
Go
we're
ahead.
making up new senses, could we not argue that vision is just light touching your eye and go to 3?
well, so we're not making up new senses. I'm gonna go ahead and squash that thought process because it is all understanding more and more about the human body. Like, what is our body's makeup? What is it composed of? What can it do? What can't it do? What are misconceptions? Because in the science realm, you talk about modern medicine in the history of humanity is such a blip of time. And we know more about the human body in the last 50 years than the previous 7,000 years. And so what we have more technology, we have more ways of understanding our body. I mean, the only way we knew to understand the body thousands of years ago was their body cut open, look inside. But the idea, like for me, we've talked about on this podcast, I have aphantasia. I don't have mental images. That has not even been a scientific topic until the last 30 years because no one knew how to research that. But yet it is a very real thing. And I would have never known that it had a name if I was born 50 years ago. I just would have thought everyone had the same brain pattern thought process that I did and never know, oh, people can literally see images in their head. Or people like Tyler have inner monologues where I don't. So all of this is it's just how do we understand the human body? And now we have more technological advances to understand the depths of, well, we know we have vision, we have sight, we have smell, we have taste, and we have touch, because that was all the things that were surface level that we could observe in other people.
So, to your point, I agree with you 100% that I don't think at any point are we just making up senses. Again, I just kind of stick back to my original argument that it's more just, these are just combinations of senses. I guess my point is, by all means, right, never stop searching, never stop trying to learn more and understand more, especially about the human body, right? Because if I'm struck, knock on wood, but if I'm struck with some incredibly rare illness or disease or whatever, I would like to know that somebody has researched the piss out of it to try to find a cure. But I guess even from a scientific standpoint, what does adding them as senses benefit versus just understanding that, having the agreement that, okay, sure, we say vision is a sense, but that is way more than just saying we see, right? It is multi-leveled, but I just don't see any benefit scientifically or otherwise to say, okay, there's now 33 of what science considers to be the human body's senses, rather than you can break down these 5 senses into hundreds of different perceptions and understandings and feelings, whatever it is, right? That's just my take on it. So I agree with you that they're not just making up senses. It's just, these are combinations of the ones we already understand.
The only thing I can
Most
think
of
of, and I don't have an answer for me from just the knowledge I have now without doing any proper research, is it does help understand how to address the body even on a medical level. The first thought I had was the sense of pain. There are people out in the world who cannot feel pain, but they can touch something and know they're touching it. And pain is not associated with their sense of touch. So how do you tell someone that who can't feel pain that, oh, it's a touch issue, when they're sitting there, but I feel this metal bowl and I know this is a metal bowl because of the way it is, I feel it. So there are some medical backings to some of these things. I know for like the vision, like being able to see color, like being colorblind, there is application to that sense is different from I have bad vision. it is its own sense. And so having colorblind friendly material helps them, that it's not a vision issue, it's a color sense issue. So there
and
are some medical backings to why it is important to identify these different senses to address any concerns that may come along with it.
And that's fair. And if from the medical standpoint, it benefits not only, doctors, but also their patients to have these, then great, right? But again, I feel like if you really wanted to argue it just for the sake of arguing it, or disagree just for the sake of disagreeing, right, with the pain or people not recepting pain or feeling pain, that's just a lack of a receptor on the organ that is responsible for the sense of touch. That is not to say that even though they have touch, they don't have pain. So those are two different senses. I think that is just basically a downfall in their sense of touch, or in the sense of colorblindness. That is a down, or not a downfall, but a something they are lacking within their sense of vision. But again, I mean, we could go back and forth on this. I think we kind of have clearly made our stances on it. But no, I mean, it's interesting to see though the direction I guess they're taking with it. And again, if it has benefits within the medical community, by all means, right? Great. I'm more than happy to see that. That's awesome. So, other than disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing, of saying, and I'm sure they're not teaching, because I couldn't tell you when we learned about what our 5 senses were, but I'm sure it was very early on in our education, probably at kindergarten, first grade. I think if they bring out a list of 33 senses to kindergartners, they're not going to know what to say. But I doubt that's happening as well.
Well, and I did see that you made the comment, the receptors, and that's actually where some of this is more scientific behind it, because we talk about the overarching category is sensory organs, which is your nose for smell, your ears for hearing. The sensory organs, the vestibular system is the one that controls your balance. And we have always just called that your inner ear, but that is what that sensory organ does. And then I'm not going to say it right. Proprioception is your body position. So like your north, south, east, and west, like you can tell that. And then the actual sensor organ that is associated with pain is the nociception. So, I mean, it is its own sensory organ that tells you if you're in pain. And that's why it is different from touch, because it is its own sensory organ giving you that feedback.
So I'm curious, and this is on topic, but kind of a different direction. So obviously they always say the biggest organ in your body is your skin, right? Is skin itself a sensory organ, or is it something else underneath?
So what they have it as is the soma. Oh my god, I hate science words.
Somatosensory. Yeah. Shane's got it up on his on his thing, so I'm reading all of it too.
Yeah. So that is actually what is responsible for touch.
Gotcha. I would be curious to know if that's considered part of the skin itself.
But you're also talking, like sensory organ versus like your organs. Like technically your skin is not a sensory organ. It's part of a sensory organ, I guess, because olfactory is your sensory organ, not your nose.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Because that's to go completely off topic, actually semi off topic. And we can close out our discussion about.
I was about to say, I think Michael and Shane
35 minutes.
Michael and Shane have completely clocked out.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone quiet because I feel like I'm on the edge of beginning to offend people with it. But yeah, I mean, to try and not be too offensive to our scientific community, one thing they all have in common is the need to justify their existence. And to me, this is what that begins to feel like is, hey, let's break down our 5 senses into 33 to justify our existence. And to Tyler's point, if this advances medical causes, great. It just feels like it feels like advancement of certain aspects for masturbatory sake in an effort to look like we're advancing things. like I said, if there's underlying advancement, great, but it just feels very self-congratulatory. Look, we discovered more senses and we're going to break this down into very different things, and it just begins to feel a little self-justificationary, to make up a word. But yeah, that's why it's been quiet, because I just and like, I think Tyler said it perfect. If this advances science, I'm all for the advancement of science. Like, if this helps, like, to your point, if this helps somebody who has no pain reception in some medical way, fantastic, right? I'm all about that. But the baseline idea of like, hey, we have 33 distinct senses, it just begins to feel a little unjustified without the context of larger things, of whatever they're working on. It just feels yeah. That's why I went quiet.
To give Austin credit, though, because I was going to say something similar, not nearly as well worded as that, Michael. But I had the thought of, at what point is this just advancement for advancement's sake, right? And there's a Harry Potter quote that Professor Umbridge says, something about progress for progress sake should be halted or something like that. Essentially, why are we progressing if there's no benefit to it? But I will give full credit to Austin. His point about us knowing more about the human body in the last 50 years than the 800 before that, whatever the number was, kind of shut me up before I even said it. From a debate sense, it was a bad track to go down. But yeah, I that was kind of my thought too, is at what point are we just trying to say there's more just for the sake of saying it, so we're not just at a standstill in this specific realm of biology? But again, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. All right, so
yeah, I just don't have much to add without more context of why. Because, like I said, without that context of why we're doing it, like in real context, not theoretical, but like, what does this actually do? It's just it feels self-gratifying. So yeah, I'm good to move away. Let's find something else.
And that's the thing, is like that it's not all like, I get your point. I'm not trying to dismiss it. Don't want that to be what this sounds like, but that also having what they call the radical ideas of senses, which aren't accepted. So there are people that are saying, oh, we have this, and people are like, we don't. So it's not like that it's all just like, oh yeah, we can just say we have all these things. It's like, no, these are the ones that we can prove that have a difference than others. And even of those 22 proven, there's still other people saying, no, that's not really it. But 22 is the number that kind of gets floated around there. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you went through all the medical journals, it might boil down to only like 18 that everyone accepts from a scientific standpoint. So, I mean, there is debate around it. But one of the ones that I was going to try and usher off into a whole other conversation is the idea of taste. That what we have taste receptors all over our bodies, not just in our tongue. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, isn't there a big concentration of them on the bottom of your feet?
There's apparently some in your feet, and in your balls are the two biggest taste receptor clusters other than your tongue.
Hold on, I'll be right back, but don't ask questions.
Are you gonna go dip your nuts in a pie and see if you can taste apple?
No, I mean, but I know this is going to be probably the dumbest question I've ever asked, but why don't I taste mud if I step in it? I guess is my question there. Like, what's stopping that from happening? Because it takes time. So that's the thing. It's like, not obviously you're not going to have. It's not a strong concentration. I know Mike is thinking the same thing of me, of like putting garlic in a bag and sticking your foot in it. Can you taste garlic?
I kind of want to do it.
Yeah, I know where you were going with that, but there was a huge trend on social media years ago of guys dipping their nuts in soy sauce and seeing if you could taste it. And there are a lot of claims of people being like, I could. Like, not
it's
just
so hard
trying to make a funny video. Yeah, it's hard because it's the internet, right?
Yeah.
But there is scientific backing that we have as men. Women, unfortunately, don't have that organ to have the taste receptors, but that men have taste receptors in their balls. And so you can a lot of people say the reason why they went with soy sauce because it's a strong flavor. It has a strong potency. So that's why they were going with that. And people being like, I can actually like taste it. But I mean, you also think, like, for me, I recently had to go get a CT scan when I had all of my issues at the beginning of this year where I almost died 3 times over. But they gave me contrast and they injected that into my veins and I could taste it.
Mm-hmm.
That
At
is
no
true.
point did it touch my mouth. But
Yeah,
I'm like,
no,
"I
that's a
taste
valid
this."
point. I'm trying to remember. I think it was when I broke my arm that whatever the pain medicine they were giving me in the IV, I could taste. So yeah, there.
At the expense of letting everybody who's never seen me in content know that I'm going bald. I'm going bald, and I started recently trying the Hims like spray, like scalp spray.
Yeah, the
You're gonna have to tell
minoxidil
me
stuff,
how
right?
that works because I've been thinking about getting it too.
Yeah, how's that work?
Yeah, I've only really been using it for about 2 months now, and they say it takes about 3 for it to really start to show progress.
Uh-huh.
But there is definitely an element of like when I spray it for about 30 minutes afterwards, I can taste it. And it's not like it's overspray, like I'm sucking in overspray, because I'm literally putting it like an inch away from my scalp, spraying it, rubbing it in, and then washing my hands with soap immediately. And given about 5 to 10 minutes later, I can taste it.
If you don't wash your hands, do you get hair growing on your hands?
No, I mean, they don't say it will grow on your hands. I think mostly because your hands, like the skin on your hands is so thick, it doesn't absorb into your hands.
Ah.
But what they do say is your hand contacting other parts can transfer it. And like you can transfer it to other people. So they just recommend when you've like rubbed it into your scalp to wash your hands with soap, just to make sure you get it off and then you're good.
I'm just trying to grow a mullet on my
I
hand.
said you got hairy palms from masturbating too much.
Yeah, that's what I always heard.
That definitely sounds like a wives' tale if I've ever heard
And
it.
you would go blind.
You go
Right?
blind too.
Yeah.
Buddy, I should have stopped seeing a long time. No. But
You know
No,
what
that-
affected my eyes way more than that as a kid? Staring at the sun. Nobody told me not to do that.
Yeah, right. Then you get the little circle in your eyes for 20 minutes and you're like, I can see it everywhere.
Yeah. Did y'all ever play that as a kid? Like you'd stand out on the playground and just like
Yeah.
line up and stare at the sun and whoever, see who can stare at the longest?
Yeah.
I always won those. Now my eyes are shit.
no, but I sure did look at shoes and Heads Up, 7 Up.
You're a cheating son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was. You're damn right I was. But this whole taste thing has genuinely got me curious now, especially that, Michael, with you saying you tasted it after putting it on your head. That's bizarre. And I never really thought about it. What you were talking about, Austin, was something injected that you could taste it. I've never, that never crossed my mind past that. But now I want to know more about it, but I will also probably not put in the effort to learn. But for some strange reason, I always want to finish up any of these kind of topics with a question. The same thing I did with the Olympics. Kind of a round table question. So I'm going to ask, what's each of your best scents? And we're only going to consider the original 5 that we all know and love. Sorry, Austin. What's each of your best scents in your opinion?
Eat. Fuck you.
What did
So
you
touch.
say? Yeah,
I
touch.
said heat. Fuck
Heat.
you.
Yeah, sounds an awful like touch to me. Well, I can't say vision because I have bad eyes. I can't say hearing because I messed that up after years in racing. I'm going to say touch. Yeah. I think I can I think I have good touch sense.
I'm great
That's
at
fair.
tasting things. Just look at me.
I like it. I like the answer of taste.
I like it and I debated it strongly. My problem is I think I have a great sense of taste. But I also recognize I'm one of those people that if I don't know what's going in my mouth, I absolutely would be like, I would have no idea what I'm tasting, right? Like I'm absolutely one of those people that, like when you watch a show on Food Network or something like that, and you see the judges judging some dish. Like one of my favorite shows lately has been Tournament of Champions, right? And you get the judges and they're breaking down all the different flavors, and I sit there and go, this tastes like what I eat tastes really good. Like I really enjoyed the thing I eat, but I can't describe it in any meaningful way of why it tastes good. And so it really has me nervous. Like maybe I don't taste things right because like it tastes good to me. I enjoy good food, but I have no ability to tell you why I like it. The only things I can tell you for sure, I definitely like salty and I like chocolate.
I love chocolate.
Outside of those, I don't know. I don't know why I like food.
So I'm
I
with
was
you.
gonna say, given our extra life challenges, I don't think any of our strong suits are taste.
Yeah, as someone who loves to cook, I wish mine was better because I'm with you, like 100%. I can't taste something and tell the minute differences. They'll say, it seems like you cooked your butter a little bit too long when the butter was the very first thing they put in the pan, right? Like little tiny stuff like that. Yeah, I can't tell the difference. So I'm with you. I think my best is probably smell. I feel like I have a strong sense of smell. For one, I can smell everything, but two, and this is probably more getting into more Austin level senses of, I feel like if I smell something and you smell something and you're like, I know that smell, but I don't know what from. I feel like I always know what from. I can say, oh, this smells exactly like this. So I would say smell is probably my best sense.
I think hearing is mine.
I was going to agree with
And-
that after playing video games with you. I was going
Well,
to say that about you.
Yeah. See, and I'm like wishy-washy on hearing. I can hear the smallest thing. I have, just to go ahead and throw more scientific terms I've found out about myself in my old age, and it actually explains a lot of my troubles in school and when I was little. I have what's called audio processing disorder. Sorry, we
Trying to give yourself ADD without even.
Well, my son has
I know.
ADHD, and that was an hour conversation with my wife before this podcast was ADHD, and I kept trying to go that way.
If you got any
Um,
questions, bring them my way, bud.
Oh yeah, well, my wife has been diagnosed with ADHD too, so it's been ADHD conversation for the last 7 months of my life. But auditory processing disorder, where if there's too many sounds at once, I don't take any of it in. Like my brain just like shuts off. It's like, nope, not processing this. But I can hear just the most microscopic sound from a mile away and be like, there's something over there. And people are like, you're crazy. I was like, no, there's something over there. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's something over there. But yeah, in video games, it works too. Because like me and Tyler have the exact same headphones. They're like, hey, there's something to our left. And it's like, I don't hear a damn thing.
Yeah, it happens pretty regularly.
I would say, like, I say I messed up my hearing, but I feel like that's very much me. Like, when there's too many sounds, I'm overloaded. But I do have decent hearing. Like, if I'm in a quiet room and then something happens, like, I can hear it really well, even if it's quiet, right? But the moment there's too many competing sounds, especially voices then. Like, if I'm in a restaurant, I struggle to hear my wife across the table
Oh,
from me
yeah.
if it's too loud, too many sounds. And I always attributed that, maybe it's only that I noticed it, but I always attributed it to being after I was in racing. Like, I don't feel like I've always had that problem, but I don't know. But that sounds super familiar. Like, I really can hear things fairly decently in a moderately quiet or not overwhelming environment. That's curious. If I cared more, maybe I'd get it checked out.
So that makes me
Right.
think of a completely different question, right? So you know how with vision, when you get glasses, most people are either categorized into short-sighted or far-sighted. I wonder if you do the same thing with people that have hearing issues. Are you short hearing or far hearing? Like, to your point about you can hardly hear your wife directly across from you when there's a bunch of stuff going on at a distance. Are you a far hearing person?
I don't know, man.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and
Add
say
it
no,
to the
'cause
senses.
that's not how sound waves work.
No, I know, but it would be fun.
because your vision is focus.
Correct.
The
Yes.
the other one is how long it takes for the sound wave to get there. But yeah, no, I so APD, just not to go. This is our science episode, apparently. But APD, it forever was attributed as just a part of ADHD. Interestingly enough, I think it was like in the late 90s, researchers were like, no, this is actually its own thing. When I was a child, back in the yonder years, like I was diagnosed as borderline ADD, which I don't know what the hell that means. And it was never explained to me because I don't think anyone actually knew. But as we have stated, this current state of science and research of people, just ADHD alone, the research behind it has just exploded in our understanding and the knowledge behind it. But like I was told I was borderline ADD. I looked up the symptoms of APD. It literally came across, like, I think on a Reddit thread like 6 years ago. And I was like, this is interesting. And in like every single problem I had as a kid, it explained all of them. And I was like, oh, we just didn't have the word for it. And so they just slapped the label of borderline ADD. It's like, best of luck to you. I'm like reading this. I was like, this explains everything about me.
I feel like the ultimate test for that is when you're pulling up to an address, like, and you're trying to find the house or you're trying to see something from your car. Do you turn down the radio?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you got to turn this down so I can see.
I got to turn this down so I can focus, take in more information.
I attributed that to getting old because I certainly didn't used to do it. I will say I don't do it often, but I have caught myself doing it like once or twice. And I'm like, why? This isn't actually helping me, but why am I doing this?
Yeah, my mom was always a turn that down so I can see person. But I don't really run into that because I usually am listening. If I'm in the car, I'm usually listening to either an audiobook or a podcast. And I want to hear it and understand it. So if I'm focused on something else, I'll just pause it in general. But so I don't really know if if it was just music, if I would just turn it down to be able to see. I don't think I've ever done that before. So I'm going to assume I'm not that kind of person. My wife is, though. She would also say hearing is probably my worst and best sense, in the sense that I hear everything. But if I'm paying attention to something else, I'm sure as hell not going to hear it.
Yeah. Selective hearing is what
Correct.
I've been told that is.
Very strong in the force of selective hearing.
Absolutely. See, since having a kid, I don't do the turn down the radio thing just because I keep it low volume anyways with him in the car. So I haven't done it in a while. I actually did it a lot in my 20s. So when I was blasting music all the time, I would turn it down.
I was going to say, anymore, I don't turn it up anymore. I don't need to turn my podcast down anymore. You know, I just don't, I don't listen to a lot of music and I don't blast podcasts.
So I don't know why, and this is a weird thing that I don't even think will turn into a conversation by any means, but you saying that made me think of my grandfather. So they had a DVD player in their car, and my grandfather was one of those old, or still is, I don't know why I said was, he's still alive. He's always been one of those old men that's just very particular about random stuff. You know, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So we always would watch a movie if we were in the car, and usually it was just like the same movie that would just play over and over again. So we might, if it was a short drive, we might watch 15 minutes of the middle of this movie, right? But on Sundays, when we would go to church, if for whatever reason we stayed at our grandparents' house and we went to church with them, he would not allow my grandmother to listen to the radio or us to watch a movie. Like, in his mind, we're going to church. That is not a time for music or movies. That is just not allowed. It was just one of those things that he was so hard stuck on not happening. And I don't know why you saying you not listening to music with your kid in the car made me think of that, though I'm sure it's completely different reasoning, but it's just funny to me.
No, it's just because I like talking to my kid.
That's fair.
So
I don't think my
have
grandfather
music
liked talking
playing.
to us as kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's quiet. It's just background noise, but just low enough to where we can talk. And as I've mentioned, we've been talking about ADHD, so we're pretty sure Gray has ADHD, and so that kid will talk your ear off in an hour-long car ride.
At one point, Michael's wife told me that, which is a funny thing to say, that their son, that I reminded them of their son, which is a funny thing to hear as a 28-year-old about I don't know how old, not your kid's name, that's not what I said there. Your son's how old he was at the time. That was a funny thing to hear, but I literally looked at Michael's wife and I said, you know what that means, right? I don't think, Michael, you were actually there. I think we were at a Charlotte FC game.
Probably not, because I don't remember the conversation happening, but we have had conversations around that of like, we hope he's not, but there certainly are indicators that he might be.
I always wonder at what, like, if, and I definitely don't want to get into this because this could easily verge on offending some people, but I always wonder if that's
a lot of people.
That's true,
right
but I always
ahead.
wonder, and you can have this argument with a bunch of different things that people are diagnosed with. If we're a little too quick to diagnose with certain things, like kids are energetic.
Oh, I mean, I think
right?
that the,
Kids are very
the medical
energetic.
community, the medical community admits that they have, especially with ADD, ADHD,
Yep.
that they in past years have been overly quick to do it. And it's actually one of the things, having a kid that we are concerned is. It's one of the things that we were actually pleasantly surprised at, because we were worried that the first sign of it, he was going to get slapped with a label and everything would change. And we've been pleasantly surprised that that's not the case anymore. Like, they really do try a lot of different, like, they recognize that some of it is just a lot of different learning styles, including just the fact that some kids just have energy. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a ADHD or any of, like, it's just kids have energy, and that's how it works. So yes, there's always, and like, autism has been that way at times, and it's back towards the whole scientific and senses conversation we were having. It's all learning, right? Learning, and we used to think autism was autism, and then there were these other separate things. And we've actually learned that it's a spectrum, right? And so now it's why it's called the autistic spectrum, because we learned that they're actually all fairly related, and it's just different levels or, types. Like, it's not black and white. It literally is a scale, right? So the autism that my brother has is different from the type of autism that used to be called, and I think it still is, but it is more considered now part of the spectrum as Asperger's or some of the other different quote unquote classifications. They're realizing now it's all part of a spectrum of this thing. So it's all evolution and changing. And again, there's good reason for some of it, and then some of it just is a little self-congratulatory, like any engineering or science or any other smart people thing. It can be very overblown at times. But yeah, so to answer your question, yes, they have admitted at times they've been too quick to slap a label on. They've learned a lot about a lot of different things, and to slow down and actually evaluate, is it actually this, or do they just have a certain tendency or a different learning style? There's a lot to it, but they've definitely figured out they don't slap kids with labels as quickly anymore.
Yeah, and I was definitely part of the age where they were diagnosing everybody, basically. And to your point, right, it's not as much just a label either, right? Especially when around the time that I got diagnosed, which I will fully preface, they were on the nose with me, like no questions asked. But it's more than just labels, right? The first reaction is medicine. Let's put them on a medicine that I will say, as somebody who, bless my mother, because she always took what I had to say about the medicine. She was not one to just say, it's just a side effect, move on. We tried everything under the sun, and they all had a different reaction. Whether, one of them would make me hungry all the time. One of them would make it to where I couldn't eat. One of them would make it to where I couldn't sleep. The other one, the next one I would try, I would be sleepy all the time, right? They all had a major side effect. But with anything, and sure, this is not a doctor's fault per se. This is a parenting thing, whatever. There are a lot of kids that get stuck with the first medicine they suggest. No matter how much they complain, nobody takes it seriously. And, there are so many bad impacts to it. But I am glad to hear, I've not looked into it much, but I'm glad to hear that, Michael, that they are fully aware that it was maybe overused, and hopefully they're kind of being a little bit more cautious and maybe trying to find other solutions before they resort to medicine that will impact a kid's way of life. So good to hear.
Well, it's the medical side, right? A medical doctor is going to treat it with medicine. Like, here, your kid has this is the medicine I recommend. Whereas someone who may be in psychology is like, here are, different tactics you can use to help cope with this. So, I mean, that's why they did back in the day slap labels on it, because if I can slap the label of ADHD and prescribe you ADHD medicine, then that's more money going towards the research of ADHD, for good or for bad. We're dealing with people. People are going to have different motives for different things. People are going to have different perspectives of different things. Some people will say that, now speaking like autism, some people will say you need medicine to address autism. Some people will be like, well, no, maybe you do like a more holistic, meditative, a psychology approach to it with medicine. And some people say, no, you just will it better. Everyone's going to have their opinion. None of them are necessarily perfect. We haven't found the perfect one yet. If we did, there wouldn't be an argument going on around all of medicine and science. But science is what can we discover? What can we figure out? What is proven to be there and what is not? And even then, you're still going to have people saying, like, we have beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is this. And you'll still have people saying, no, it's not. Look at flat earthers.
It all goes back to flat Earth.
We are a sphere, but we have people and a large amount of people saying no, the Earth is flat. So there is never going to be a time when science is collectively unanimous. It's never going to happen. And I don't think it can.
2 questions.
Oh, Shane's
Is it
here. Hi, Shane.
is it a large amount of people that think the Earth is flat, and are they a part of the scientific community?
Yes and no.
Number one, what
Yes
do you
and no.
consider a large amount of people? Because I feel like 30 people is a large amount to me, but I don't like people.
Well, then, boy, do I have
He's
news
not
for
saying-
you on how many people believe in flat Earth, because it's a whole lot more than 30.
I know, that's what I'm just saying. What's his number on a large amount?
I don't know, 10%.
I don't think he's saying you have to associate with them, though.
Do you think 10%
don't-
of people think the Earth is flat?
10%? I'd say like 4.
I don't think that's a large amount.
Well, and then you get into the conversation of if in that 10% of people as a whole, are we including people in, like, some of those people that are on islands that are still in the Stone Age?
No. I'm talking
Right?
about
Do
like
they count towards that group of people?
Yeah, they absolutely
world
do. If you're going
countries.
to have a collective poll, Science 101, you poll everybody.
That is true.
first,
So
and I'm talking about like first world countries that went through like an education system and didn't spend their entire lives like on a farm or living at home.
well, you're the Google man. Tell us.
All right, here.
Well,
let's see.
yeah, so I already did. It looks like, I mean, there's differing numbers. I'm seeing as much as 10% of Americans believe Earth is flat. I've seen a number saying that I've seen another place saying it's about 4%.
I would
I'm
bet.
seeing this one that there's
that one was
10%. There's 10% that agree and 9% that are unsure.
I was about to say, I bet there's a good chunk of people who think that, but are too scared to admit it, rightfully so. But
A 2018 YouGov poll is saying that 2% of Americans firmly believe the Earth is flat. I don't know if that's a large amount.
Well, that was 2018. I
Well-
feel like the flat Earth movement has grown a lot in the last 8 years.
I don't know. I've been laughing at flat earthers for a while.
The one that I'm looking at is from 22,
All right, let me see if I
So
can find
saying that
yeah.
about 10%.
Let me.
But I mean, look, even 2%. If you do the math, that's still about 7 million people.
that's a lot.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say
I
a
don't
lot
think you
of
can ever
people.
say that's not a lot of people, no
To
matter
answer
what.
your first question, yes. And number 2, yes. I hate to be that person, but if you were going to have that strong of an opinion on something and you're going to engage with that, now you might not have doctor attached to your name, but I feel like you could say you're a part of the scientific community. Are you right? No. But that was the whole point, is that there are a lot of people in the scientific community that are loud wrong. And we know loud wrong is accepted here.
According to a 2025 article in forumscience.com, 1 in 10 Americans still think the Earth is flat.
I believe
A
that.
lot of people. That's a whole lot of people.
So, yeah.
Feel bad for those people. Part of the scientific community or not.
Yeah, but out of that group of people, I've only met one.
Yeah, we
Well-
do not say that we're part of the scientific community.
Where are these flat Earth people?
They're around the globe. Anyways, thank you for tuning in to this podcast. This was episode 34. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of opinions that can happen in the comments. Put them there. I want to read your comments. Let me know how many senses you think we have. Let me know. Do you think the Earth is flat? I think we've actually asked that question
Yeah,
before
no,
on this podcast.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Reiterate it, please. I gotta know. I don't think I got an answer. Someone. Oh, Do you think we have a flat earther in our community?
I hope so. I would love to have
I need
him
to
on.
know. I know I would not.
We don't have guests.
I
This
would
is
like
not
to
that kind
have
of
you
show.
in the comments. That's where I would like to have
Wait,
you.
I'd love
I
to
asked a
talk to
long
him,
time
at least.
ago if we could have a
I
flat
am-
earther on the show.
And the
I
answer
am
was
putting
no.
my foot down. Yeah, I'm putting my foot down. This is not a guest kind of show.
No.
We've had that conversation.
Even if they're a
But-
flat earther that believe we have 33 senses?
Yes.
Yes, even that.
They can. I
Okay.
will. If I am the okay. I didn't believe 33. I'm on the 22 side, but I'm gonna. I'll stand alone there. I will kill you on this hill. It's fine. But
You know what?
thank
I'm
you for
doing it.
tuning in to I am gonna end you.
I'm gonna do it real quick before you end this, and I'll be done after this. I'm grouping 22 cents believers with flat earthers. Same type of people.
You're a psychopath. Anyways.
You know, I'm glad
Thank
you
you
did that,
for
Tyler.
tuning. I am going to end every single one of you if I do not get to end this podcast.
Look, I do just want to chime in before you try again.
Jesus Christ.
The boss is speaking up.
I'm not interrupting you this time. I'm just chiming in now that somebody else has interrupted you again. I want to say I disagree with Tyler. I think 22 senses is crazy. I don't think it's as crazy as flat Earth. Like,
It's not a
I
conspiracy.
understand. Right.
Yeah,
I
that's a
understand
good
some of
point.
I understand some of the logic behind it. I just think it's overblown. I think it's trying to take something and make it too granular versus flat earth is 100% completely wrong. I want to distinguish. I want to make the distinction. I don't subscribe to what Tyler's saying. I don't think people who think there's 22 senses are the same as flat earthers. One, I can understand their justification. I just don't necessarily agree. The other one, I don't understand how they believe it's true.
You can find us at YouTube, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Roundabout Gaming, Instagram and Facebook at Roundabout Pro. Come check out our streams on Fridays. Sometimes a Tuesday one sprinkled in there. Sometimes we can't do it and have to do it a different day. You won't know unless you come check us out at Roundabout Pro on Twitch. And once again, that is Roundabout Gaming on YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you downvote this episode, I will not blame you, but please interact with it anyways. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Bye.
Goodbye. I'm going to publicly backtrack. I don't think Austin's as crazy as a flat earther.
Boo. So you've caved twice now.
No, I've not caved. It was more a hot take.
No,
Tyler
that was
is
all.
very
you
It was such a hot
influenced.
take. He backed off.
you
He
spent
burned
the
himself.
first half an hour with me and Michael taking away senses. And in the second half,
I
of the
never
show
took
was you
away
be like,
sense.
these are reasonable points. And then at the end, you're
No.
like, I still don't believe you.
Okay, that's not at all how that went. I never took away sense. For one, saying somebody has a reasonable point does not mean I agree with the whole premise. And three, the last point was just making a joke that Austin is
sounds like Coke.
crazy as a flat earther. I don't believe that's actually true. They're the nuttiest
What was
people
it
on earth.
that you called me a few weeks ago, Mike? Like, what was the phrase you used? Something
Oh,
stubborn.
what did I use? Yeah, willfully stubborn.
Willfully stubborn. Tyler is the exact opposite. You can convince him of anything if you throw enough words at him.
You are so untrue about that, but I'll let you have it.
See, that's my
but-
point. Thank you.
Exactly.
It just happened.
Yeah. Keep this in the episode for the love of God, please.
Oh, absolutely.
Can we tell sync and then continue?
I was
this
about to say, let's go ahead
conversation?
and tail sync
No, the tail sync's got to be at the end.
before I say anything
But
else.
how much
stupid.
more do we have?
No, I would like to be done.
The episode ended 10 minutes ago.
I know, I would like to be done. Let's wrap this.
Tail sync.